Okay, let's do it. 5 books I don't think deserve the hype. 5 books that do.
Basically what this guy did is he said 5 books that don't deserve the hype, 5 books that deserve it, and 5 books that deserve more hype. So what I'm going to do is do that with a Rick Riordan book, except we're just going to do one book that doesn't deserve the hype that it gets, one book that does deserve the hype that it gets, and one book that needs more hype. The first book that I do not think deserves really any of the hype that it gets is the last book in the Trials of Apollo series, The Tower of Nero. Guys, I was very excited for this series under Rick Riordan. He has a pretty good record with, well, actually, he doesn't have the best record, but I was pretty excited for this book to come out. The last Percy Jackson book, The Last Olympian, was amazing. The last Heroes of Olympus book, Blood of Olympus, was okay. It wasn't amazing, it wasn't terrible, it was okay, so it was pretty good. The last Kane Chronicles book, The Serpent Shadow, that was amazing. The last Magnus Chase book was the best one of that series. So yeah, I had high expectations going into this one. However, it just feels like Rick dropped the ball with the Tower of Nero. It was like a totally expectable plot. And also he introduced these troll characters, I always forget their names. The Troglodytes. They're called the Troglodytes, called the Trogs, I guess, whatever. I hate saying that word, Trogs, but he introduces these characters and they're the stupidest characters in existence because all they talk about is hats. And like, when your character development is just that you talk about hats, like, what is that? And also the end of this book, the end was, like, it was pretty good because Apollo visited all the people that he'd seen throughout the series and whatnot, so that was pretty cool. When he visited Piper McLean, Piper's character was completely ruined. Jason had just recently died, like within like a month of the series ending. He died in the burning maze, but it's not that long after that the Tower of Nero actually takes place. Piper has already moved on from Jason at that point, and not even to another guy. Like it's so stupid that I try thinking about it. Like there's character development, and then there's that's terrible character development in my book. It completely undermines the relationship that Piper and Jason ever had. It basically acts like Jason wasn't even there. It's stupid. Okay, but enough ranting on that book. Let's get on to a book that deserves the hype. It's a pretty easy one, guys. The House of Hades deserves the hype. Like, this is the highest rated book that Rick Riordan has ever written, the highest rated one on Goodreads, I should say, and it deserves it. The way that he effortlessly sews together 2 different stories, the one with the main Argo 2, and then the one with Percy and Annabeth, and then Bob joins them a little bit later, it's so amazing. Like I said, it's effortless. It's so good. And dare I mention that Percy and Annabeth's story in Tartarus is so much better than Nico and Will's story. Like, it's not even close. Nico and Will's story in Tartarus is like 10 chapters long. Percy and Annabeth is way longer than that. And Percy and Annabeth actually has stuff going on. Nico and Will, basically nothing happens when they're in Tartarus. They just go down there and find some people, and like, it's not even that good. But this isn't supposed to be a rant on the Sun and Star. This is just to say how good the House of Hades is. This book deserves the hype. And finally, a book that does not get enough hype on my list is The Serpent Shadow, which I mentioned earlier in this video. The Serpent Shadow is the last book in a trilogy that Rick Riordan wrote about Egyptian gods, Egyptian magicians, about Carter and Sadie Kane. Those are the 2 main characters. And guys, if you haven't read this book, go check it out. If you haven't read this series, go check it out. It's The Red Pyramid, The Throne of Fire, and The Serpent Shadow. They're amazing books. The Serpent Shadow is easily the best in that trilogy, and nobody talks about it ever. It is significantly better than the Tower of Nero. It's not even close, and yet the Tower of Nero gets way more hype. I don't get it. So yeah, if you haven't already, go check out the Kane Chronicles. You will not regret it. It's probably going to be one of your most favorite Rick Riordan series. It's definitely one of my favorites. Also, let me know in the comments what you thought of my picks for the book that didn't deserve the hype, the book that deserves the hype, and the book that deserves more hype. Let me know, and if you disagree, let me know the ones that you think would fit into those categories.